Hi, this is Laura. Welcome to week 3 of our course. And this week we will be spending our time on something called ideation. And our topics will be collaborative learning, learner engagement, ideation, and then a subset of ideation, which is divergent and convergent thinking. And then there'll be an overview of week 3 activities, which will include a individual and small group assignment on divergent and convergent ideation, and then a whole class discussion on collaboration and engagement. So just a quick reminder where we are in the course. The last 2 weeks we spent time on you all coming up with your wicked problem, also known as your design challenge. And then last week we worked on empathetic thinking and learning and coming up with personas, which are our end users, their needs and requirements. And so this week we're going to then work again on our design challenge or wicked problem and do the phase 2 of divergent and convergent thinking, which are, as I mentioned, a subset of ideation. So that's where we're heading this week. And so with that, we're going to first talk about our efforts in our small group assignment and also ways you can think about your own design instruction and learning related to engaging students within groups, both collaboratively and cooperatively. So cooperative and collaborative learning refers to methodologies and environments in which learners engage in a common task where each individual depends on and is accountable to each other. And then cooperative learning, which I'm referring to CL here, it includes principles and techniques for helping students collaborate with peers and others. It provides both teachers and students with a growing body of ideas for making online learning and student-to-student interaction more impactful. And that is the goal, essentially, of this cooperative and collaborative learning, which is, and we'll talk about here in a moment, the learner engagement, but having the student-to-student interaction more engaging and often than we probably typically do. And then it also, collaborative and cooperative learning gives students skills and attitudes that they will develop throughout this process, and you will as students, that will serve you throughout your lives. And you'll notice that in your students as well. And I know it is challenging sometimes to come up with ideas for this, especially online and when so many students are crunched for time. But hopefully you're also seeing it in your own work in this class, that it is helpful to have others look at your work and give you feedback. So learner engagement, this is a diagram you'll see in some of our resources this week by Joan and Philip Donaldson, who's also been working on some of our designerly ways of thinking and teaching. But you'll see here that there are 3 specific areas of student engagement. One is student content, which is students engaging with content pretty much individually. So that would be them studying or writing or reflecting or doing assessments. Then there's student-to-student interaction, which is the part that we're going to really start focusing on. And that's where we have discussion boards, things like voice threads, wikis, collaborative projects, different kinds of video engagement activities. There's a variety of different ways we can do student-to-student interaction. And then the student-teacher interaction, which is presentations, lectures, different kinds of feedback options, assessment and grading. And then the key area is trying to get right in the center of this, which is getting maximum student engagement across all of these 3 areas, but really emphasizing the student-to-student interaction when we can in our designs. So this focus on learner engagement really helps students to get to know their peers. As designers, it helps us to build trust and engagement in a course. And the more we can do this collaborative work like peer reviews and small group work, it will help the students get feedback that is broader than just what the student and the instructor can provide. And so student-to-student interaction, as I mentioned, is a critical component of any learning experience. And so as part of this week in our ideation exercises, this is your small group exercise, you're going to be doing both divergent and convergent exercises to come up with solutions to your wicked problem, or your also known as your design challenge. And so ideation is really the process where you generate as many ideas as possible and then refine those down to a few or one best solution to your problem. So some of the examples are sketching, prototyping, brainstorming, brainwriting. Worst possible ideas, which is one I particularly like, but you'll also have other opportunities in this course to do some of the ideation activities like prototyping, which is in this design thinking process, is a step all unto itself. So here's some reasons that ideation can help you. It helps you ask good questions. It helps you step beyond obvious solutions and look even for wild and crazy solutions. It brings together a number of perspectives. It sometimes uncovers unexpected areas of thinking or innovation, and it creates a variety of innovation options. And it does hopefully keep you from just going with the most obvious solution and coming up with something a little more creative. With that, let's talk about divergent thinking. So this is where you typically would start, and this is really kind of the brainstorming, as people say, throwing spaghetti on the wall. So it's an ideation strategy related to solving problems, and it's characterized by the proposal of a multiplicity of possible solutions in an attempt to determine the one that works. So you first start with divergent thinking, and you just come up with as many ideas as possible. And some examples of this are brainstorming, free writing, which are very common. There are different things called snow carting. There's a lot of different ways. Anything where you're thematically generating ideas and then trying to group them in a way that poses an answer to your problem is a good way of working on divergent thinking. Now, convergent thinking then would be the second step. So you've got, like I said, the big umbrella of ideation. Then you have the first step, which is divergent thinking, which is just throw out any idea. And then you take convergent thinking, which is a problem and ideation and problem solving technique involving bringing together the various divergent concepts that you came up with and really focusing on whittling it down to a couple or one best optimal solution. And you do typically with convergent thinking come up with the optimal answer, or at least a pretty solid answer related to your in this case, wicked problem. And you'll have opportunities to do that with your work this week in your small groups. So here's your assignments during week 3. You're going to continue to work with your problem statement, which is your wicked problem, design challenge. All of those are the same thing. And so in your individual and group assignment, you're going to use divergent and convergent thinking to identify solutions to your problem statement and end up at the end with 2 possible solutions. And so really in your group work, you're going to be looking for about 10 to 20 ideas, and you're going to be partnering up with a peer. You're more than welcome to work with more than one person in your small group if you choose to. But the idea is that everybody gets some feedback, both from the divergent and convergent perspective. So you're first going to be trying to generate 10 to 20 ideas in your small group for your peer, and then whittle that down to ideally 2 solutions. And then you're also going to be doing much the same thing in your individual assignment. And it will be, I note in the announcement that you'll be receiving, that it'd be helpful if you kind of do these in concert, both the individual assignment and the small group assignment. So they're pretty much identical, but one is you working on your own, and then the other is sharing what you're doing with your small group so that they can also give you some ideas. And then the whole class discussion is reflecting on and sharing your thoughts about collaboration engagement and sharing some of the collaborative ways you have engaged students in your courses or in your designs. So in summary, make sure you review the resources for week 3 and the specific areas we have been focusing on are collaboration, ideation, sharing with our peers, both divergent and convergent thinking, and then reflecting on the new learning and sharing about your own experience with collaboration. And I wish you a good week. Thank you.